Actually, the next one is another one, though, I don't think we've ever reviewed on the show. I'm pretty positive of that. It is one of Frank Henenlotter's most beloved movies. And actually, the whole story about how this movie even got started, the name of the movie was just a joke. That he was out of ideas. Remember, we interviewed Henenlotter on a show a few years ago.
Yeah.
Run out of ideas, and a studio or a guy that was going to be a financial backer for however he did those movies, he just blurted out Frankenhooker, one day. And that's how the movie was born. The guy loved it, the name of it. So he basically had to create the plot around that name somehow and have a Frankenstein style movie, but Frankenstein in this movie is actually a hooker.
Yeah, first of all, though, with Frank Henenlotter, I really think that he is one of those guys that does not get any kind of respect that he really truly does deserve. Because a lot of these movies, they seem on the surface to be just like throwaway exploitation style films. There's a whole lot more going on in these fucking movies than people really give him credit for, especially Basket Case and Brain Damage, and to some degree with Frankenhooker too. There's always stuff sprinkled in these movies that if you pay attention to them, relate to something like serious, like commentary, like social commentary things, but it doesn't appear that way because the movies are so fucking silly. And another thing that I always started to notice when I watched this Blu-ray, never really noticed it before, all of his movies seem to have like a color theme. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, in that movie it's purple. Like, purple is all throughout the movie. Like
Purple nipples.
The jail, the stuff that they, like, he puts the bodies in and all that stuff, and the stuff that he uses to reanimate all that stuff. In Basket Case, it's red. It's all about, like, blood and, like, the redness and all that stuff. But in Brain Damage, it's the color of the, like, the bluish movies. Neon color that he uses for the brain serum and all that stuff. But if you go back and look at his movies, they're all lit and have those kind of themes like throughout the movies. It's almost, I'm not even sure if he did it on purpose, but it just seems that way to me. So in his movies, there is truly like a lot more going on than just stupid like trauma-esque kind of stuff.
Yeah. And Frankenhooker for me, like, I'd only seen the movie maybe 2 times before or something. So when I watched it again, I was planning on just watching 20 minutes of it. But then, like, I was like, this is actually pretty fucking good. Like, it's a hokey idea and everything. But it's like, he delivers the concept. Like, you actually, even though the makeup effects and stuff, especially on Blu-ray, is dated as hell. I mean, but there's so much stuff in this movie to like. Well, I guess we should talk about the plot of the movie, though.
Yeah, the plot, and that's what I love about Henenlotter, too, is that there really is no... He's in on the joke about the fact that the way to get to the main part of the story is really inconsequential. Like, you could make up anything, just as long as it gets to the point where, like, for instance, in Frankenhooker, you got to get to a point where you've got this mad scientist guy...
Yeah.
who has, I guess it's his fiance at the time, has bought him a birthday present, and it's a lawnmower that runs on a remote control, and she ends up standing in front of the lawnmower and gets, like, chopped to pieces. And he goes crazy, basically, because, I guess, out of grief or whatever, and decides that he's got to figure out a way to put her back together, like, to bring her back to life. Just like Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster and all that. So the way that he determines how to do this is he goes and gets a bunch of prostitutes, picks out the parts of them that he likes best, and in this really interesting choice that Henenlotter made in this movie, gives them all, like, has this idea to give them super crack.
Yeah, well, he's a scientist, so he takes this regular crack and develops something called super crack. And these bitches
Which
love
is by
that.
far the most memorable part of the film,
Yeah.
where they got all this group of, like, hookers together in this room, and they accidentally, like, get into the super crack, and all end up fucking exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and, like, literally, like, I mean, this is pre-CG. This is like, okay.
Yeah, what they did was really awesome.
Okay, girls, you're going to just, assume this one position, and then we'll cut, and then we'll place the mannequin there, and we'll blow the fucker up.
Right.
Which is what they did.
And it blows up in it's like a 4th of July kind of explosion.
It's like
There was a
sparklers
few,
and
a few
shit.
of the hookers that blew up, and it looked really smooth. The how they transitioned the girl to the mannequin. I even said this is the first time I ever seen this movie, and I was telling him like, "What that actually looks really good."
Yeah.
For even
Well, I
for
mean, this
today,
was this the first movie he did with Gabe Bartalos, did makeup effects and stuff?
I don't know if it was this one or if it was Brain Damage was the first one. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Well, I know he did this one. This was in 1990. He did this one. I don't know what year Brain Damage was. Brain Damage used to be out on Blu-ray too, though.
Yeah, it does.
That's actually probably my favorite Henn and Lauder movie.
But this one, okay, there's two parts of this movie. Really. There's the first half, which is him developing all these ideas, and then meeting up with hookers and everything. And then there's the second half, which is to me equally as entertaining, just because of the woman. I think her name is Patty Mullen that plays the actual Frankenhooker. And just the shit that she does in this movie, where she's completely unaware of the fact that she's not a whore.
The thing that I like about it is, and I never noticed this before when we watched it, because I think we were probably just watching it together and just fucking laughing at it, and But if you pay attention to it, there's so many little things in it that you'll catch, when he's meeting these hookers right before they get into the super crack and all that stuff. He's actually just measuring their parts before he's going to put together because I think the beginning of the movie too, although this girl was smoking hot, Patty Mullen anyway, they had her acting like she was overweight or whatever, right, and stuff like that. So he was going to give her the perfect body as this new Frankenhooker, and the perfect ass got a check on it. And then when you see her later on, you'll see her ass, and you'll see that check on her ass.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff that people just don't do anymore in movies. A lot of the stuff that you watch back and multiple times, and you'll catch more stuff like that.
Just her, though, the way she played it, to where it's almost like she's like a robot or something, you know what I mean? Where she just keeps glitching up and stuff, and all she does is repeat the things that were said previously in the movie.
Really awesome scene too is right when she gets her first John, I guess, and that little short bald headed guy.
yeah.
Who the hell was that guy? Was awesome.
I don't know. And then she's making out with him, and his body explodes, and she's
"Oh, thank you." Whatever.
That guy was awesome.
Yeah, he was. The movie's actually really good. I love the movie, and I think it's got really good rewatchability too, because I hadn't seen it in a couple of years, and I think this was when I watched it this time, I really enjoyed it more than any other time I watched it.
Another thing they mentioned in the commentary part of it, I don't remember. I think it's Jennifer Delora who mentions this. The guy, I think his name's James Lorenz, who's the mad scientist guy in it, supposedly, according to her, was a complete OCD about every scene in the movie. He did every scene over and over and over again, a million different times for just basic things, when he measures the legs and stuff in the. He did that scene 20 times or something like that because he was so obsessed with it.
The interesting thing too, though, really looking back at it, how many minutes is Frankenhooker actually even in the movie? Probably about 15.
Yeah, something like that.
It's an 85-minute movie, and she's just in towards the very end of it. But it is. I think it is a cult classic for sure. And
all of his movies are, if you think about it, every movie he ever made.
Yeah, it's good to definitely have it out on Blu-ray. Now, I got to say, I didn't think, and of course this is a lower budget movie, I didn't think the Blu-ray really popped like I thought it would.
I thought it was pretty amazing.
Synapse does a great job.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just a rush release or what, but I mean, I didn't think, that it was a drastic difference.
I think that this is to be all of Synapse's films. You can guarantee it's the best that movie will ever look, by far.
And it, to have it on Synapse films and not shitty Unearthed films is great.
That's always a pleasure, yeah.
So some of the extra stuff that's on this, they got a lot of special features on here. Audio commentary with Henn and Lauder and Gabe Bartalos, who's the makeup effects designer. The salad that once was named Elizabeth, Patty Mullen featurette. A Stitch in Time, the makeup effects of Frankenhooker featurette, Turning Tricks. Jennifer Delora remembers Frankenhooker, which is kind of funny because we saw Jennifer Delora at a Fright Night Film Fest show, and for her to be at a show, and I don't know if she flew herself out, which is cool if she did. She is barely in this movie. She's one of the hookers.
Yeah, she's in it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Her interview is like 3 times longer than her actual role in the film.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know a lot of people said she was really cool and stuff like that, but again, another case where somebody's not really in the movie, but they sort of advertise that they are, which is stupid. And a theatrical trailer. So, you can get this now, though, from Synapse Films. Yeah, highly recommend it. Synapse-films.com. They always do great stuff.
Really, I mean, if you're a fan of horror films, especially if you're a fan of like exploitation, midnight movies, something like that, you should own all of his films. Like, there are 4 main ones, and you should probably have every one of them. You should Basket Case, Brain Damage, Frankenhooker, and Babology. They're all amazing in different ways.
And, of course, the Basket Case sequels.
Yeah, I guess that's
would
true.
advise all those as well.
I always forget about those, but yeah.
I need to have like a Basket Case Blu-ray set, box set. That would be awesome.
It'll probably be, eventually come out.
In like a little basket. How killer would that be?
I'm surprised nobody's thought of that, yeah.
So, anyway, that is it for the show this week. Appreciate everybody calling in, and appreciate Jess for actually showing up and acting like she's interested most of the time.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have... She didn't have her phone. She left her phone home. That's probably the only reason why.
That's good.